How does a company that dominated half the globe and made $51 billion a year completely fall apart in just 6 years? Today, we're breaking down exactly how it happened and the lessons every business can take from it. To understand how staggering Nokia's fall was, you need to understand how it got to the top. And it starts somewhere you wouldn't expect. Nokia began in 1865, not as a tech company, but as a paper mill on the banks of a river in Finland. For over a century, it bounced between businesses, rubber boots, cables, even gas masks, until 3 of those companies merged in 1967 to form what we now know as Nokia Corporation. But the Nokia that took over the world wasn't built on steady growth. It was built out of near collapse. In 1991, Nokia was bleeding money, a $102 million loss hit hard by the breakdown of the Soviet Union, one of its biggest export markets. The company was a sprawling mess of unrelated businesses with no clear direction. That's when Jorma Ollila took over as CEO in 1992. And he made a decision that looked reckless at the time. He cut the workforce nearly in half, sold off almost everything that wasn't phones, and bet the entire future of the company on a division that back then barely made any money: mobile phones. It worked. Nokia became a driving force behind GSM, the digital standard that would define how phones connected to networks worldwide. In 1996, it released the Nokia 9000 communicator, years before the word smartphone even existed. And in 1998, the Nokia 3310 hit shelves, simple, durable, and instantly iconic. By the year 2000, Nokia had captured over 30% of the global phone market, and it was just getting started. By 2007, Nokia wasn't just winning, it was untouchable. The company controlled 51% of the entire global mobile phone market. More than 1 in every 2 phones sold on the planet was a Nokia. That same year, Nokia pulled in $51 billion in sales, making it one of the most valuable companies in Europe. Part of that dominance came from a phone you've probably forgotten about: the Nokia 1100. Launched in 2003, it was about as basic as a phone could get. No camera, no internet, just a screen, a keypad, and a built-in flashlight. But it was cheap, nearly indestructible, and built for people who'd never owned a phone before. It went on to sell over 250 million units, making it the best-selling phone of all time, a record that still stands today, beating every iPhone ever made. And it wasn't just basic phones. That same year, Nokia launched the N95, running its Symbian operating system, at the time considered one of the most advanced smartphones on the market. In 2007, Nokia's smartphone market share hit a staggering 70%. Oh, and that same year, a small company called Apple launched something called the iPhone. It captured just 5% of the market, barely a blip. Nokia's slogan was "Connecting People," and it wasn't just marketing. From flagship cities to remote villages, across every income level and every continent, Nokia was the default choice. It seemed like nothing could touch them. Nothing, except the thing that just walked through the door with 5% market share. That 5% didn't stay 5% for long. The iPhone wasn't just another phone. It represented a different kind of product entirely. No buttons, a touchscreen, an app store. Suddenly, a phone wasn't just for calls and texts. It was a tiny computer you carried in your pocket. Nokia had the engineering talent and the resources to respond. But inside the company, something had gone wrong. Not with the technology, but with the culture. After more than a decade on top, Nokia had grown comfortable, even complacent. Decision-making slowed down. Teams competed with each other instead of collaborating. And the company kept doubling down on Symbian, its aging operating system, even as it became clunky and outdated next to iOS and Android. In 2008, Nokia tried to fight back with the N97, marketed as its answer to the iPhone. It flopped. The hardware felt cheap, the software felt years behind, and reviewers weren't shy about saying so. By 2010, the pressure had become impossible to ignore. Nokia's board made a dramatic move. They fired CEO Olli-Pekka Kallasvuo and replaced him with Stephen Elop, a former Microsoft executive, the first non-Finnish CEO in the company's history. A few months later, in February 2011, Elop sent an internal memo that would become infamous. He compared Nokia to a man standing on a burning oil platform in the North Sea, with one brutal choice: stay and burn, or jump into the freezing ocean below. The memo admitted in blunt terms that Nokia had fallen behind and lost time. Then came the decision that would define Nokia's fate. Instead of jumping to Android, the platform rapidly becoming the new industry standard, Elop bet everything on Microsoft's Windows Phone. Nokia had escaped one fire, only to land on another one. The Windows Phone bet didn't work. By 2012, Nokia had dropped to second place in global market share, a position it hadn't held in over a decade. And the freefall continued. By 2013, Nokia's share of the booming smartphone market had collapsed to under 5%, the exact number the iPhone started with just 6 years earlier. The roles had completely reversed. That same year, Microsoft stepped in and bought Nokia's entire device business for $7.2 billion. The company that had once made one in every 2 phones on Earth no longer made phones at all. And here's where the story gets even more uncomfortable. Stephen Elop, the CEO who'd written the burning platform memo and steered Nokia into this deal, walked away with a payout of roughly $25.4 million. Back in Finland, where Nokia had been a source of national pride, this set off a wave of public anger, especially once it came out that his contract had financially rewarded him for selling the company. Even under Microsoft, the story didn't end well. The Lumia line, Nokia's last hardware legacy, never gained real traction, and by 2017, Microsoft had quietly shut the whole thing down. But here's the twist almost nobody saw coming. Nokia itself didn't disappear. While the world moved on, Nokia rebuilt itself, not as a phone company, but as a supplier of network infrastructure, the equipment that powers 5G networks worldwide. And recently, that bet has started paying off. In 2025, NVIDIA invested $1 billion into Nokia to help build AI-powered network technology, sending Nokia's stock to its highest point in a decade. Nokia is profitable again, just not in the business that made it famous. So, what can we actually take from Nokia's story? Lesson number 1. Market dominance is never permanent. Nokia went from 51% of the global market to under 5% in just 6 years. No matter how big the lead looks today, it can disappear faster than you think. Lesson number 2. Watch for shifts in the platform, not just the product. The iPhone didn't just beat Nokia on hardware. It won because of the ecosystem around it. The App Store, the software, the experience. Nokia kept building better phones while the game had already moved to software. Lesson number 3. Success can become your biggest weakness. After more than a decade on top, Nokia's internal culture grew slow, siloed, and overconfident. The threat that ended Nokia wasn't really Apple, it was Nokia itself. Lesson number 4. Be careful with panic-driven, all-in bets. The burning platform decision felt urgent and decisive, but betting everything on one unproven platform, instead of taking a more measured approach, accelerated the collapse instead of preventing it. Lesson number 5. Reinvention is possible, but it might mean letting go of what made you famous. Nokia's comeback didn't come from making a better phone. It came from walking away from phones entirely and becoming something completely different. And maybe that's the biggest lesson of all. The companies that survive aren't always the ones that win. They're the ones willing to become something new when the thing that made them great stops working. Every week on Business Breakdown, we take the world's most fascinating company stories, the rises, the collapses, the comebacks, and pull out the lessons that actually matter for entrepreneurs, investors, and anyone building something. If that's the kind of content you want more of, subscribe and hit the bell. It's free, and it might just save your business from making the same mistakes these businesses did.